Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Making Things Happen, the podcast with me, and I've got a pal that's coming on with us today. This guy I love. I've known the guy for about 10 years, something stupid like that. Been on stages together, hung out, had drinks. He's just a cool guy, solid person. What you see is what you get, which is how I can only say the best things about the best people. But if he was the co-founder of Sports One Marketing, if anyone knows who Leigh Steinberg is, if anyone's seen if anyone's seen the movie Jerry Maguire, then this guy's it. He knows about sports marketing. He knows about athletes. He knows about focus, and he knows about transitions, how to take what you're great in over here and move it over here. Great coach, great content. Got to really search him up on the internet. David Meltzer, fantastic person. But first of all, listen to the show, enjoy it, and then stalk the hell out of the guy. You'll be thanking me later that you did. Hey, Dave, welcome to the show.
I can't think of a better place to be. I'm here at the stadium with Steve Sims. This is amazing.
I see the stadium behind you. What's the stadium?
That's SoFi. I am blessed to have my offices and podcast studio at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Probably the greatest stadium ever built.
Yeah, not too shabby, not too shabby. I want to talk to you because everyone knows you, and we did a lead in about who you are, how brilliant you are, but the world of entrepreneurism has changed and it's become very romanticized and glorified. How is that good for the image of being an entrepreneur, and how is it bad?
Well, the reason it's so good is I'm a legendary old entrepreneur like you. So all of a sudden, it's just a blessing where, it became entrepreneurism used to be like being an actor. You tell someone I'm an entrepreneur, they're like, oh, so you don't work,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You don't have a job. I get it. And then all of a sudden, so I think the branding of the entrepreneur is really, for me, been the most positive aspect, that people have entrepreneur schools, entrepreneur books. It's really become its own type of profession, and it's respected. And so I think that's really good because it should be. But I think the reason it's bad is that it's really difficult. And the barrier of entry is so low that we have so many people that are risking too much to become entrepreneurs. And what I think is so interesting is one of the things that has occurred because of entrepreneurship is intrapreneurship. And I think people are missing, because you should want to be an intrapreneur far before you want to be an entrepreneur. Because on somebody else's dime today, you get almost all the freedom of being an entrepreneur because of remote working, time schedules, technology. You get a lottery ticket. Most companies in an entrepreneur, you get a lottery ticket, a little bit of equity, and maybe a multi-billion-dollar company. You get health insurance, which may be worth more than your salary nowadays. You do get a salary, and then you also get bonuses and commissions. I can't think of any reason, if I was 18 years old and I was entrepreneurial, that I wouldn't want to be an intrapreneur to start, get all the dummy tax out on somebody else's dollar, and then start my own business when I know what I'm getting into.
But you see, you got to understand, both of us are slightly over the age of 21, just slightly. But both of us come from a period where you're correct. As an entrepreneur, it was meant, oh, you can't get a job. An entrepreneur and a criminal, they were pretty much next to each other. You were a hustler, probably stealing audio in their minds when you say you was an entrepreneur. So the bottom line of it is, at our age of being an entrepreneur, we didn't have the ability to look online. Like I'll give everyone a shout out. If you're not watching Dave on Instagram, you really need to. The guy floods solid content, but we never had that. So now that there's so much content out there, there's almost a ton of shit. How do you sift through who do I listen to? Who do I ignore?
That's a great question, because I think in every realm, there's so much shit, right? Whether you're religious, political, you're in the alien information, whatever it is, there's so much shit to pile through. And what I like to do is understand frequency. And, when you start looking and vetting, which is something people don't like to do because it, number one, makes them uncomfortable, and especially makes the other person uncomfortable. I have a trust and vet philosophy with all my content. So I'm just not going to accept what people say standing in front of an airplane they don't own or houses they've leased.
Classic.
It's, information is accessible. So I have this trust and vet approach that if I resonate with someone, I'll then take the second step to vet them to see, okay, I'll even take a tail number. No shit, bro. I will take a tail number of a private jet and just search it to see who owns the plane. And invariably 90% of those, at best, they have a fractional ownership of the plane, but most of the guys standing in front of their planes don't own them, and they're blowing smoke up your ass and they're stealing from you, and they are street hustlers, not just as entrepreneurs, in every profession. So please, if you're out there, trust everyone, but utilize vetting, asking uncomfortable questions, doing your due diligence as a process of trusting you. The analogy I have is, look, if my mom tells me something, I trust it. So don't worry about me asking her questions pertaining to what she represented to me, because she knows I trust her. So do the same things with people you don't know.
So who do you reach out to, and how do you get your education? Because the thing I love about you is that I never want to be an expert of anything. And I get the same feeling from you. We're lifelong students. We're there to learn. We're there to grow. We're there to fail. And let's be serious, the pair of us, we fucked up on mammoth status. Without that, you wouldn't have the education. So how do you constantly grow? How do you constantly push yourself?
Once again, people like you. So I find people that sit in a situation that I want to be in, and I will research what they've done. I'll read their books. I'll listen to their videos, watch their videos. But I also pick historical figures in historical texts to read every day. So I study the Course in Miracles every single day. I study Napoleon Hill every single day. I pick one entrepreneurial book that I'm constantly going through. So, whether it's Goggins or James Clear, Michael Herman, whatever book it is, I have to have that. Now, as far as coaches, I pick the most important non-negotiables in my life. So number one, I have a health coach, because if you're healthy, you get as many wishes as you want. If you're unhealthy, get one wish. So I utilize Doug Grant at the Optimal Health Systems. He's my coach. Sleep coach. I've had a sleep coach for almost 16 years. She's the sleep coach to Major League Baseball. I sleep a third of my life. I want to be damn good at it. I want to make sure I'm plateauing and growing. Blaine Bartlett is a world business consultant. He's on the world business with Deepak and all those guys. So Blaine is my business consultant to understand the international impacts that the economy has, and not only their economy, but our economy, and where should I be putting my dollars aligned with timing and risk tolerance. The point is, I'm like you. I'm very concise about who I'm listening to, what I'm reading, and it's basically a simple philosophy. I'm picking out to determine fastest way to get to where I want to be is find someone that's already there and ask them for directions. That's literally how I pick my mentors.
Do you find it funny? Because I know I've spoken to people, and both of us coach. We're both successful coaches. We have clients, we have reputation, we have credibility. I'm not saying that to kind of blow our chests out, but we do. But I often get people kind of go, hang on, you have coaches? I think basically a coach has to have a coach. And you're big in the sporting field. We did I did the intro at the beginning, so everyone knows your background. But I don't know of any professional, whether it be an athlete or a businessman, whether it be a pop star or an actor, that doesn't have a coach.
It's such an interesting thing, because I actually coach athletes that transition, the biggest names in sports transitioning into business. Yeah. And the first thing is they say to me, why do I need a coach? And I'm like, you of anybody. How long did you have a coach playing baseball, football, or golf? Did you have a coach? Oh, yeah, since I've been 5. So you think now play my game, and all of a sudden, because you're the best baseball player in the world, you're going to play my game, and you're instantly going to be as good as me? Are you kidding me? Like, what are we thinking? And so I have the humility of getting my ass kicked, losing over $100 million, making huge mistakes, to realize I don't know what I don't know. So the easiest way to get that information, and now I want to make one distinction, Steve, because you're more than a coach. And this is the people that I like to learn from, like you, because there's 3 areas that make the best helpers. Meaning, 1, a coach is someone that brings the best out of you. They may not know or be as good as you. They may not be in a situation that you're in, but somehow a coach brings the best out of you. That's important. A mentor, though, like you are as well, is someone who sits in a situation and gives direction to get into that situation, that stature. And then a teacher, for people like you and I, that's the most difficult component. We're great coaches. We'll bust your balls and get the most out of you. We're great mentors. We've been there. We paid the dummy tax. There's no genius. We just tell you the mistakes we've made so you don't make them. But to teach people, to be able to read and explain what we mean, that's the third, the golden crown, the triple crown of mentoring, coaching, and teaching. If you could do all 3, that's when you build a reputation like Steve Sims and you can change people's lives.
It's sad, though. We've come through COVID where everyone suddenly thinks, okay, as long as I look good in a swimsuit, I can throw myself up on Instagram and all of a sudden I'm a coach. We're seeing a lot of that growth. When do you think it's going to slip away? When are people going to get this trust that process right? When they lose all that money, sadly?
They're never going to get it right. Look at every profession. Look from the president to the Supreme Court to insurance people to doctors, lawyers. Every single profession always has the scousers. It always has the lower vibration, people that are overselling, back-end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating. What they don't realize, which is something that you and I do, is that they're always going to be swimming in that frequency. They're going to attract those people. So if you're an ex-porn star out there putting yourself like you're some mentor and you can change people's lives, you may be that, but your frequency is going to be your frequency. If you haven't paid the dummy tax, learned the lessons, if you can't articulate quantitative value to exceed what you're asking for, the truth will come out. And when the truth does come out, there'll just be someone else right behind you with their fake followers and their fake reputation. Look, I know that I walk the walk. And I know that 10% of the people, no matter what I say, are going to love me. 10% of the people, no matter what I say, are going to hate me. I'm just getting better at being able to provide the same quantitative value to the 80% in the middle by being consistent and as credible as possible, by illuminating like you do, which is things I admire and have learned from you and David Corbin, one of our shared friends, is I had a difficult time when I was younger telling the truth about my mistakes. And you and I are very illuminating about, hey, we have screwed up, but that's why we're valuable to us, because we don't want you to screw up. It's not rocket science. It's what we do.
So you talk about what we do. Again, anyone out there needs to shout out, follow Dave. We've got all the links. You've got his link here, Dave Meltzer. You've got to go on Instagram and follow this guy. He's great. You put a lot of content out there. So what are you working on now? And what is the impact that you're driving?
Yeah, so my mission is to empower over 1 billion people, over 1 billion. I'm not limiting myself, to be happy. And define happiness for me in this world is making a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. 3 things you and I are really good at: helping people, having fun, and making a ton of money to do those things, because it takes money. Money doesn't buy you happiness or love, but it will allow you to shop. And if you shop for the right things for the right reasons, you'll be able to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun and be happy. And so right now I'm utilizing all my content, right? Podcasts, interviews, my TV shows. I have an Apple TV deal. Martha Stewart and I are developing entrepreneurial shows for Apple TV. All the different things that I do all day long bring me joy, because it's to build a community of what I call sponsors and power sponsors. Meaning I'm building a community of people that are looking to help other people and know people that can help other people. And if I can create this collective consciousness of people who make a lot of money, who want to help themselves or know people who can help, and have a positive attitude and have fun with everything they do, they don't take themselves so seriously, which, you know, by the way, I don't know which way you're looking at your screen. To my left is Steve. This guy's the king of not taking himself so seriously. Xander's rule number 6 is don't take yourself so seriously. If you want to know rule 1 through 5, it's go to number 6. And Steve Sims literally is the mascot for that. So don't take yourself so seriously. Live in radical humility, ask for help, and you will be able to be in this community. And so that's why I put out all this content.
You didn't need to. Now, here's the thing. You were very, very, well, I say you are very successful, but there was a time a while back, you didn't need to check the bank account to pay the mortgage. You know, you'd gone way past that. You were financially secure. You were healthy. Everything was good. Something happened to you that went, hang on a minute. There's got to be something more than this bank account. I've got to help other people. You're a massive name in the sports industry and now in the entrepreneur world. But what was that conduit? What was that switch that went, hang on a minute, I now have to do this for others? Because let's be blunt, as Gary Vee says, 80% of the people that follow you probably can't afford you, but they still follow you in order for it to help you. So what was the switch that made you go, hey, there's almost an obligation for me to help other people? Why?
Yeah, well, one, my own personal experience of understanding. I always said I don't believe in God, and then I realized I was serving the wrong God. Money was my God, and coming through my own transformation and learning how to create abundance and wealth in a different mindset, a different heart set, and a different handset. And then when I came through that, what really had an effect was here I was after losing over $100 million, making it back, sitting on top of my game again. I'm sitting here and my daughter just had turned 12 and one of her closest friends killed herself. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I'm walking the beach at my beach house thinking, gosh, I thought I'd get this time around. There's so much more than just this abundance that I'm living in. And I started doing research about people committing suicide. And I find out that almost every single demographic, the fastest growing cause of death is suicide. Could you imagine? That's the fastest growing cause. So I'm sitting here going, I'm flipping so happy. How can I teach people to be happy like me? I'm not extremely talented, but I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. I have been through the BS. Let me teach people. So I literally, and this was the shocker too, right? I come up with this mission. I can teach people to teach other people to be happy, to make money, help people, and have fun. I know how to do this. So here I am, a guy who went from 33 homes in San Diego, a ski mountain, a golf course, running the most notable sports agency in the world, to a rented house, rented furniture, and back to the top again. Now that I'm back to the top, I'm going to my beach house. I walk in and my wife's like, what's that look on your face? You've met my wife. She's almost as great as your wife. We have two of the greatest wives in the world, isn't it? And then she looks at me, she's like, what's that look? I said, I have a new mission. And she's like, what's that? I go, I want to change the world. She's like, what? I go, I'm going to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. You should see her face like, oh, I thought you quit using drugs, Dave. I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm sober. And literally, I set forth on that mission, and using my content is the vehicle to get the exposure and awareness. And thank goodness for social media, because you and I are old enough. We used to get thrilled when there was 1,000 people in a room, right? Yeah. Oh, my guys call me, they're like, oh, that video sucks. It only got 50,000 views. I'm like, 50,000 people that fill up the stadium behind me. I'm super excited with 50,000 views.
It is kind of funny. I want to pick on a word you used, because you are you're very well known in the sports world. So you know sport better than most people in the planet. And some of the most successful sports people are not necessarily the most talented. They're the hardest workers. Now, you actually called something out and you said, hey, we're not the most talented. And the pair of us will openly admit we're not the sharpest tools in the shed, but we'll outwork anybody. How important is talent over the graft today?
This is a fantastic thing to know. And I'll use a sports analogy, because we used to look at quarterbacks and I would always say, look, your skills and your knowledge determine your basement. So there's certain sport figures that no matter what they do, their basement is starting on a professional team, right? No, but it is your desire that determines your ceiling or your potential. And so when you can match up great skills, knowledge, and desire, you can reach a potential, an energetic and genetic inheritance far greater than anyone else. So I do, all these great shows. My favorite one's Office Hours, because I bring on the billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers like you, and I get your secrets to success, the nuggets, and the common denominator between the spirit of excellence and everyone else is the spirit of excellence. I define as the desire that you must be what you can be, and the ability to be consistent and persistent in the pursuit of that potential. When people see here, and I'm going to leave you with this, is here's the biggest misnomer I see. Everybody talks about the extra mile. Extra mile's bullshit, because most people go the extra mile every once in a while. And then when they're not where they want to be, they justify it by saying, oh yeah, but I did this. Yeah, well, you did that every once in a while. Guys like Steve Sims and David Meltzer's, you do it every goddamn day. I was in Greece for 2 weeks. I was doing it every single day, consistently, persistently, in the pursuit of my potential. I have a desire that I must be what I can be to change the world. It is inherent in my genetic and energetic makeup. And I'm willing to do it every day, because if you do it every day, you go the extra mile every day, you live in the empty mile. There's very few of us here, less competition than anywhere else. And that's why consistent, persistent pursuit of that desire is far greater, more valuable than anything else. And that is proven by all the great, successful spirit of excellence people that I encounter.
Where can people stalk you?
Yeah, I love it. Well, my email is the best place, david@dmeltzer.com. I answer my emails directly myself. And if you forget it, just Google my name. I'm blessed, like you said. I've worked really hard to build a brand that you can find me. So David Meltzer, just Google me. You'll find me everywhere.
Dave, you're an absolute star. I'm blessed by having you in my life. Look after yourself, pal, and thanks for being on the show.
Hey, let's share some more stages, Steve. I love being with you and love speaking and listening to you speak as well. So thank you.
See you later, pal. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you liked that episode of the Art of Making Things Happen podcast. And remember, these are done for you. If you like them, subscribe, share them around. But if you don't like them, send me an email to ask@stevedsims.com, and you can tell me what I need to do to make this the most dynamic podcast you listen to. Anyway, make sure whatever you learned from the last podcast, you actually do something with. Without action, it's just a bunch of people blowing air. Have a good time. Until next time. Bye.